Welcome to Shelby Stitcher. This is Joan Parker. Today I want to give you a few tips on cutting. I have a strip that's just a scrap from a tote bag I made recently for my granddaughter, and I'm going to line the ruler up with the bottom edge, which I made at a 90-degree angle, and line up this left side. And the top side I'm looking and it is flush. I like to use a larger ruler. People are always coming out with smaller rulers like 2.5-inch rulers or 2-inch square rulers or 4-inch square rulers. I like to use a bigger one because it seems to help me stabilize the ruler better. And you notice I'm not using any lines on my mat. This is the back of a scrap mat. Now that I have this in place, I'm going to cut away from me very slowly. And you see that scrap is kind of a different sizes. So now I have a 2-inch strip. I just bought new blades a few days ago. They are the Headley Tools brand, Headley tools. And there were 15 titanium plated blades for $16.58. That's $1.11 per blade. I remember the days when I would spend $6 or $7 just for one blade that I wasn't sure was even going to work very well. So I have a double thickness of this with the fold on the right. And the thing I've never seen anybody talk about when they're cutting, I'm going to cut 2-inch squares. So I'm going to start down here with 8 inches and line up my top edge and my left edge with an even number. This will be a scrap because I don't use anything that's quite that small, and there's not really anything distinguishable about it to put in an I Spy or a smaller quilt. Now, what I've seen people do the most times is they will cut off a 2-inch square and move it, and they'll move over and cut another 2-inch square and another 2-inch square. I've always done it this way, and I'm always surprised when people don't do things the way that I do. Of course, I'm just doing it my way because it's my way. What I would do is leave 2 inches over here, which means I would line this up with my 6-inch line, which is the edge of my ruler, and then cut that off. The key to cutting accurately to me is to move your ruler as little as possible and to move your fabric as little as possible. Now I slide it over to the 4-inch line, and I just make a neat pile over there. And see, this way, I haven't ever picked up my ruler and had to move my fabric out of the way, because when it's all lined up and you make a cut, the cuts are so tight that you often can't see where you cut. Well, let me put it on this side so it will look like an original piece of fabric. If you cut here first, and you take your 2 inch, you have to pick this up, move this fabric out of the way, and then lay your fabric down again, which is a lot of wasted steps. If you start with your long strip and then just cut and move your ruler over as you go to your left, even when you feel like the less you move your fabric and the less you move your ruler, the more accurate your cuts are going to be. This is a little pop socket thing I bought in the checkout line at my Walmart, and I don't really use it for picking it up after I've had it on my fabric. I just use it to get it up off of my mat and get it up off of it initially, because it just gives me a little something to grab onto. But I don't ever actually pop it up and use it like I would use a pop socket on my phone. I have heard that the company TEMU, and I'm not sure if that's Temu or Temu, but they also sell these for a greatly reduced price. But those are a few little tips I had for today, and I hope you find this helpful. Have a great day, and remember to use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without.